What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Nicola with the Nicola Group at Realty Executives Premier, and today I wanted to make a video talking about the real estate market and what is going on, obviously, with everything with COVID-19 and the coronavirus and all the craziness that's happening. Yes, this is going to be a pretty long video, so please stick with me, but I promise you it's going to be very valuable information. First off, I want to say that this situation is very serious and it's very crazy what's happening. My heart and our team's heart goes out to all of you who might be affected by this virus and your families. Number one thing over everything, stay safe, take care of your family, take care of your health. And I hope for all of you that that is the case. I wanted to talk about how this situation that we're going through and everything with this virus is affecting our business, our profession, if it is going to affect you. And is this coronavirus causing a housing crisis? Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the market, what market statistics and numbers look like at this moment, and how this compares to 2008. Because for all of us, we feel that when there's a recession, that automatically there is a housing crisis. And we're going to talk about that. Just because there's a recession and we might have a recession coming does not mean necessarily that we're going to have a housing crisis. What we're going through right now is a lot more similar to 2008, or excuse me, to 9/11. Not 2008. The reason is because this came out of nowhere, right? This isn't an issue with the financial system and the system in the United States with finances. What this is a problem of is an epidemic, right? Much like 9/11 was an emergency that came out of nowhere and it changed everything. What economists are saying is that although yes, we will get into recession, yes, we are having a recession. As fast as this has came to us, is almost as fast as we're going to get out of it. Because as soon as this coronavirus begins to go away and good news starts to come, what's going to happen is people and consumers are going to get a lot more confident, and that's going to change quickly because there's no issues. There's not an issue within the financial system. It's not like we have a mortgage crisis like 2008. What we have is an epidemic, right? Which is very serious. Because 2008 is the most recent thing that's happened, I think all of us have that on our minds. So I want to talk about the difference of now and 2008. So let's look at the market and the numbers and see how this affects us. First thing is this, and that's going to be mortgage affordability index. And essentially what this means, if you look back in 2000, before 2008, 06, 7, 8, you look at that number that's all the way on the left side of your screen that says housing bubble. What that's saying, that is saying how easy it was to get a mortgage. There's a saying in the industry, if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan back then, right? It didn't matter, they didn't check credit score, they didn't check income. People just gave mortgages, which is insane. So what happened is, as soon as 2008 happened, you see that big drop in decline. What that is that shows the difficulty and what it takes to get a mortgage. What this is saying is that there's stricter guidelines to get a mortgage, and there has been since 2008 when everything happened, which is a good sign. If any of you have gone through the process of getting a mortgage, you can tell how difficult it is and everything that's involved with it. Back before 2008, it wasn't, which essentially means no matter what, people were getting mortgages, regardless of credit, income, and anything. And since then, it has stayed difficult to get a mortgage. There's more guidelines and everything that's involved. So that's number one, that's good. Number two, in 2008, what happened in 2008 was we saw ridiculous appreciation across the country. You'd see people who would buy properties in Florida for 600 grand and a year later sell it for 850. And then that person who bought it would buy it for an investment, do nothing to it, no renovations, buy it for 850 and sell it for $1 million a year later. Right? There was ridiculous appreciation. If you look back in 2000 to 2005, look at the annual appreciation. These numbers are not sustainable. Now, if you look now, 2014 to 2019, yes, we do have strong growth. The average appreciation in the United States is 3.6% annually in your appreciation in home value. But if you look previously, before 2008 to now, yes, we have consistent, solid appreciation, higher than average. But the good news is that it's not out of control. Properties are not appreciating to ridiculous levels like they were prior to the crash and the housing crisis of 2008. The third thing is month supply of inventory. Basically what we're looking at here is this says, based on the number of sales that are happening per month and how many houses on the market, if no more houses were listed, it would take about 8.2 months, okay, before we would run out of the listings that are on the market. Right now, if you look, we have 3.1 months, which basically means we have very little inventory. A balanced market is 6 months. So 6 months supply of inventory means it's not a buyer's nor a seller's market. Right now, we're at 3 months, which means there's not a lot of supply out there, right? Which means, and we've been in a seller's market, that's what this is, for a long time now, about 3 to 3.5 years. So what this is saying is that back then there were way more houses on the market than there are now. So if things slow down, we can afford for it to become a more balanced market. So we're not, overextended from that standpoint with how many houses are on the market. Fourth thing, this is a big one. Because of what happened in 2008, people are a lot more cautious on how much they're spending on their mortgage. So basically what this is saying is that in 2006, Americans were spending about 25% of their income on their mortgage. Today, they're spending just over 15%. So right now, in today's day and age, people are spending 10% of their income less on their mortgage more than likely because of the concerns that happened in 2008. So people are being fiscally smart with the amount of money that they're putting towards their mortgage, which means people aren't overextended. And more than likely, if you have an income or a household that has 2 incomes and you have an issue with one and one of them still good, you can still afford the mortgage, which is good news. This slide, number 5, is a huge slide. And what this is showing is the amount of equity that people are cashing out on their mortgages based on the equity that they own in their home. So look at this slide back in 2005 to 2007, you can see the amount of money that Americans were borrowing against their equity to buy things, okay? A total of over $824 billion Americans were taking off of their equity to go purchase other things. And back then, people were buying other homes or a boat or jet skis or stupid things that were not good investments. If you look now, the amount of money and equity that Americans are tapping into compared to then, it's at $232 billion. So we're almost a quarter of what they were putting and taking out of the equity in their home. This means people are not overextended, right? This is a great sign, meaning that people haven't borrowed too much money on their home and putting them in a good position. Something else that's very, very important to note here is this. You're probably not going to believe me on this, but 37% of the homes in the United States do not have a mortgage. And of those that do have a mortgage, over 25% of them have at least 50% equity in their home. If you take every house in America, right now the numbers state that over 50% of the homes in this country today have at least 50% equity. That is very good news. Number 6, this one is huge. I said this in the beginning of the video. Just because we have a recession does not mean we have a housing crisis. Look at the last 5 recessions that we've had. And economists are stating that we're already in a recession, right? We have already hit a recession. And I'll get to that in a second in the last slide. But the last 5 recessions, 3 out of the 5, homes still appreciated in value, okay? The only one that didn't, obviously 2008, we had that housing crisis because of the mortgage situation. But 1991, prices dropped only 1.9%. Okay, that is, in the grand scheme of things, is virtually nothing. If you look at what Goldman Sachs and other companies are projecting, they are projecting a pretty negative second quarter, right? Naturally, we don't know how long this is going to last, right? So more than likely, the first and second quarter are going to show negatives, which means we're technically going to have a recession. We're going to have quick, fast gains, which is exactly what I just talked about in the third, fourth quarter. These are just projections, but projecting what's going to happen. And number 8, the last thing here is foreclosure proceedings. So a lot of people begin to ask me, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to have a bunch of foreclosures? Can I buy them now? Listen, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, have all already delayed and said that they're going to be delaying foreclosure and eviction proceedings by a minimum of 60 days. So what that means is we're not going to see a bunch of foreclosures coming up like in 2008 where they immediately went out and foreclosed on everybody. Right now, the system knows that this is a crazy situation, so they're delaying by a minimum of 60 days any foreclosure proceedings as well as evictions, which is great news, meaning we're not going to see a bunch of foreclosures like 2008. So all in all, wrapping this up, right now everything is day by day, right? We have some buyers and sellers who are just taking a sec to see what's going to go on and what's going to happen in the next couple weeks and months before they make a decision. Right? And we're standing by that decision, whatever that decision is, and we're making sure to communicate with them on what's going on with the market. The other side of it is there are people who have to buy and sell. And right now, it is still a great economic climate for the standpoint of those whose jobs are not affected, right? And whose incomes aren't affected. Mortgage rates are still at extremely good rates, and things are still going very well. So people who need to buy and sell are still buying and selling, and there's not an issue. But the people who don't necessarily have to, they're taking it day by day. Right? So is there going to be a slowdown? Absolutely, just like there's a slowdown in everything. But is there a housing crisis? Absolutely not. So that is the good news. We are nowhere near where we were at in 2008. So I hope you guys find this video valuable. If you have questions, I would love to have this conversation with any of you. But I wanted to bring you the good news and let you know that if you're considering buying and selling at this time period, I personally am going through this process myself, and I'm not changing my mind because, and my wife and I, we're not changing our mind because we feel confident in what's going on and because of all these numbers and everything I shared with you. So I hope you guys found this valuable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to have this conversation with you. Been studying it like crazy and very much appreciate you guys and everything and taking the time to watch this video. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, my name is Alex Nicola with the Nicola Group at Realty Executives Premier. Everybody, please stay safe, stay inside, stay healthy, take care of yourself and your family. I know we're gonna make this through, and I hope that you guys are doing well. So thank you very much for watching. Everybody stay safe. Have a good day.